If I was to ask you, what was the most important thing in your life? Some of you may say your family, your children, your parents. But there's one thing that's greater than this, apart from Allah and His Messenger, of course. It is your emaan, it is your faith. And you have to safeguard your emaan, and it's very important. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh, he mentioned that the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, hasten in doing good deeds. Be quick in doing good deeds. And this is something by Allah, we notice our community is very, very, very slow in doing. They take their time. Yallah, tomorrow. But the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he's telling us in hastening to do good deeds. Because there's going to come a day, and he mentioned that it's like a portion of a night. It's going to come very quick, like a portion of a night, where a man, he's going to wake up in the morning being a believer and going to end up a disbeliever by the night time. And then he mentioned sallallahu alayhi wasallam, or he's going to be a believer at night and wake up as a disbeliever. Why ya Rasulullah? Why ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? It is because he's what? He sold his faith. He sold his Islam for the dunya. We are concentrating a little bit too much on this dunya and not worrying about our faith. The Messenger again sallallahu alayhi wasallam is telling you to hasten to do deeds, good deeds quickly, and keep it up before this time comes. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from this fitna, subhanallah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions to us what this dunya is. What is this world, subhanallah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned, وَمَا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا مَتَاعُ الْغُرُورِ. What is this dunya? Apart from this play, this amusing delusion, subhanallah, this world means nothing. And then the only real time that you're going to understand is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes your soul by Allah. So we have so many examples, so many warnings. Wallah alhamdu, we are all, inshallah, we are believers. So what is stopping us from protecting our iman? So many times when we're talking to people, my wife came from a gathering yesterday, and she said, I couldn't believe such and such isn't praying anymore. She used to always pray on time, now she's not praying. And we hear from different brothers and sisters saying that they spoke to such and such, and they've stopped praying. The worst crime after shirk, the worst thing that you can do in this dunya, the worst crime is not praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a believer. That is the worst thing. You may say to me, but I'm fasting. And I say to you, on the day of judgment, the first thing, and this is what the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned to us, the first thing that you're going to be questioned on the day of judgment is your salat. If it is good, then the rest of your deeds will come forth, and you will gain the benefit from them. But if it is lacking, if your fara'id, if your farad prayer is lacking, it doesn't matter how good you were, it doesn't matter how much sadaqah you gave, it doesn't matter how many days you had fasted, Allah's going to reject that. Because amud ad-din, the pillar of the religion, is what? The salah. That is the most important thing to you in this dunya. It should be your prayer before anything. Brother, I'm busy with work. Brother, my family. Brother this, brother that. Yakhi, it is Allah who told you to pray, not me. So don't say to me, brother, say, Ya Rab, forgive me. Give me guidance. Keep me steadfast so I can pray my 5 daily prayers, subhanallah. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in another narration, Tawbah. And Tawbah, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam, is a huge, huge tree. The narration mentions that it covers 100 years of travel, subhanallah. And the believers take their clothing from this tree, subhanallah. The Prophet ﷺ went on and said, Tawbah, this tree is for anyone who guards his tongue. May Allah forgive us. Anyone who guards his tongue from yapping about other people, from slandering and backstabbing. This tree is for those people, and for the one who is content with his household. Whatever Allah gives you, you're content, you're saying Alhamdulillah. whether I'm rich or poor. And for the one who weeps over his errors. Don't think and don't judge people by what they have. Don't judge people and say, mashallah, look at this brother. He may be a millionaire, but his heart may be diseased. And the brother who has nothing may have emaan like the richest person on this dunya, subhanAllah, and he's going to enter Jannah before these people. That's how we judge individuals, through their emaan, subhanAllah. And the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he gave a khutbah one day, he gave a sermon to his companions, and they said this, they have never ever heard a khutbah like this, a couple of words. And some of you may think, what's this amazing words that he gave? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned to them, if you knew what I knew, and if you knew what the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam knew, remember he went to the heavens, he saw the hellfire, he saw many things. If you knew what I knew, you would laugh little and you would weep a lot. Every single one of us just heard the words of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The companions automatically put their faces in their hands and they started to weep. I don't see one of us weeping at the moment now. Now compare us to the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And again, as I said yesterday, may Allah make us of those companions so that we can revive this deen again. So that we can revive this religion on the face of this earth, subhanAllah. We need understanding like the companions. We need to have the taqwa of the companions. Yes, the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he walked with them, subhanAllah. And unfortunately, we don't find many religious or steadfast brothers, subhanAllah, or sisters. But start to change. Start to gain knowledge. Read more of the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Read more of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and understand it. You know Salman al-Farisi, radiyallahu anhu, just before he was about to pass away, subhanAllah, Sa'ad, he went to visit him and he saw Salman crying. Imagine, a great companion, subhanAllah. He went out with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam so many times, a great companion, and he was crying on his deathbed. And Sa'ad said to him, why are you crying, ya Salman? Why are you crying for? Didn't you go out with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Didn't you do this and that with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And Salman radiallahu anhu, he said, don't think that I'm crying about leaving this world. Don't think that I'm crying about this dunya, that I'm holding on to the dunya. But the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he made us give a pledge to him that the provision of a traveler, you know, when you're traveling, you have very little, just that little haqibah, that little bag with a few things in there. He said, we gave a pledge to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam that the belongings of a traveler will be sufficient for us. And I fear that I broke that pledge. Again, when we open up our homes, do we have the provision of a traveler? Or the provision of a person who's hanging on to this dunya? And Salman radiallahu anh passed away, and they investigated in terms of what he had. You know what he had? 20 dirham. 20 dirham, that's all he had, and he was crying and weeping that he broke the pledge with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So what do you and I say about ourselves? How much money have we hoarded? You know, as we say, put under the mattress. All the green ones. Yeah, how much have we put under? Again, your iman, you need to check it. Myself, I have to check my iman. Where is my iman at? Is it truly with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it truly with the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Am I like the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that I want to keep my pledge to Allah and His Messenger? Or am I just one of those people that like to showcase myself, mashallah, growing my beard, wearing my thawb, huh? The sisters wearing the jilbab and everything. Remember, it's not about the look. It's about your deeds. It's about your heart. And Allah knows what's in your heart. So let us be true Muslims, coming back to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.